On August 4th, 2020, at 6:08 p.m., 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate exploded after spending 6 years at the port of Beirut in Hangar 12. They were brought to Beirut on board the MV Rosus, which was owned by Cyprus-based Russian businessman Igor Krishushkin and confiscated by the Lebanese authorities. As far as we can tell, they were then left at the port of Beirut in badly kept conditions until that day in August last year. It started with a fire, and then, in a matter of seconds, blew up in a blast that was heard and felt as far away as Cyprus and Turkey. The Lebanese government, it was soon revealed, was aware of the presence of the ammonium nitrate, but failed to either declare it or get rid of it. They did not tell that to the firefighters who thought they were just going to turn off a fire. They told the firefighters that it was just firework. As he recounted to Al Jazeera, First Lieutenant Raymond Farah was the one to receive the call. He said, "I told them that I won't send out my fire truck before knowing what kind of fire it is. I need to know what's there." An officer from state security told him that it was just fireworks. It was not. And 10 firefighters, a team of 9 men and 1 woman, were sent to their deaths on that day. We have heard multiple stories since then, all well documented, of people who did not have to die that day. None of them, in fact, had to die that day. We do not have an official count of the deaths of that day, nor do we have an official count of those who died from injuries sustained on that day. We don't have that official count because the Lebanese government refused to have one. Many of the non-Lebanese who died, Syrians, Bangladeshis, Ethiopians, Egyptians, and so on, were not counted by the Lebanese government either. And to this day, the number usually given, of around 218 or so, does not include them. In this episode, I'll be reading the names of those who died from the explosion on August 4, 2020. I will include their nationality and their year of birth, except when we don't have that information, of course. The following is a list compiled by the public source. It is partly based on the official tally from the Ministry of Public Health, records of the Karantina Fire Brigade, the anti-racism movement, the interactive database Beirut607.org, social media posts, funeral announcements and obituaries, reports by the Syrian regime's media agency, and other media outlets, as well as information from relevant embassies and hospitals. To be clear, the list is not final. It may contain errors as it is the result of the hard work of people with limited resources. To request a correction or submit new information, you can email them at records@thepublicsource.org or contact them on their Facebook page, facebook.com/thepublicsource. I will now be reading the names. Abdel Halim Ali Salim, Syrian, 1991. Abdel Qadir Bloso, Syrian, 1974. Abdul Tanis Atta, Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Abdul Qadir Ali Terras, Lebanese, 1968. Ahmad Ibrahim Ka'dan, Lebanese, 1990. Ahmad Muhammad Umaira, Syrian, 1994. Alexandra Najjar, Lebanese, 2017. Ali Abbas Ismail, Lebanese, 1987. Ali Abdo Ayoub, Lebanese, 1975. Ali Hussein Zainuddin, Lebanese, 1985. Ali Ayman Ibrahim Jassim Abed, Syrian, 1994. Ali Ismail Sayyid Shahata, Egyptian. Ali Qasim Sawan, Lebanese, 1972. Ali Mahsen Mshek, Lebanese, 1977. Alice Balyan, Lebanese Armenian, date of birth unknown. Amin Saaduddin Zahid, Lebanese, 1976. Amina Slim Kreibik, Syrian, 1979. Anat Khachikian, Lebanese, 1905. Antoine Al-Barmaki, Lebanese, 1943. Ardel Manglagit, Filipina, 1977. Armand Tayyan, Lebanese, 1946. Ismahan Sarouf Aburjaili, Lebanese, 1977. Ayman Asim Sleiman, Syrian, 1988. Ayman Mustafa Hamsi, Syrian or Lebanese, 1991. Ayman Nuruddin, Lebanese, 1993. Babilin Sirohijos, Filipina, 1992. Shadi Abu Shakra, Lebanese, 1982. Shaq Sadiq, Lebanese, 1935. Shant Hagopian, Lebanese Armenian, 1976. Shaib al-Abdo Matta, Lebanese, 1996. Shaib al-Hitti, Lebanese 1999. شرب الكرم Lebanese 1982. شوقي محمد علوش Lebanese, date of birth unknown. خسال نزيح العظم Lebanese 1983. صدغ القنو Syrian 2005. كلاوديا الحلبي Lebanese 1945. كلاوديا خليل اللقيس إيواز Lebanese 1975. سيرين ميشيل كنعان Lebanese 1989. ديليا كديكيان بابازيان Lebanese Armenian, date of birth unknown. ديانا خوري Lebanese 1981. إلياس بسام الخوري Lebanese 2004. إلي خزامي Lebanese 1988. استفان سعيد روحانا Lebanese 1994. إتينيو دشاسا unknown. Isaac Oilers Australian 2018. فادي حسين ربيع Syrian 1988. فادي نعيم Lebanese, date of birth unknown. فارس جورج كيوان Lebanese 1990. فاروق السلو Syrian 1965. فوزي كليلات Lebanese 1951. فريال الكيكي Lebanese, date of birth unknown. فراس متعيب دحويش Lebanese 1977. Gabrielle Brigitte Kuhnle-Radke German, date of birth unknown. Gaia Fadoulian Lebanese Armenian 1991. Georges Malouf Lebanese 1987. Georges Naja Freiha Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Georges Pierrot Demiani Lebanese 1945. Georges Saad Lebanese 1968. Georges Salim El-Wiz Syrian Lebanese 1966. Gerges Farjallah Daibis Lebanese 1971. Georges Madi Lebanese 1943. Ghassan Hasrouti Lebanese 1905. Greta Atallah Khouri Lebanese 1947. Haile Mariam Demiz Ritta Ethiopian 1983. Hala Sabbar al-Tayyah Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Hamad Madhat al-Attar Lebanese 1994. Hamza Hussein Iskandar Lebanese 1995. Hanna Gerges Akbati Syrian 2000. Hawlo Ahmad Abbas Lebanese 1980. Hassan Akram Shams Lebanese 1991. Hassan Ali Al-Mani' Lebanese 1996. Hassan Kamel Haidar Lebanese 1963. Hassan Mustafa Tai Lebanese 1978. Hassan Sadiq Lebanese 1994. Hayat Jirji Fadel Lebanese 1953. Hedwig Waldman Molière Dutch, date of birth unknown. Hussein Batal Lebanese 1979. Hussein Abdelrahim Besher Lebanese 1963. Ibrahim Abdel Mohsen Abu Qasbe Egyptian 1996. Ibrahim Al-Amin Lebanese 1905. Imad Zahruddin Lebanese 1976. Isabel Mash'alani Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Iyad Zaid Al-Amin Lebanese 1965. Jacques Sarkis Baramakian Lebanese Armenian 1989. Jacqueline Jibrin Lebanese 1965. Jacques Jmayil Lebanese 1973. Jad George Al-Dahdah Lebanese 1957. Jad Smeha Lebanese 1986. Jawad Ajwad Shaya Lebanese 1989. Jean-Frédéric Allam Lebanese 1964. Jean-Marc Bonfils French Lebanese 1963. Jessica Bezdijian Lebanese Armenian 1997. Jessica Hwaji Dawood, Lebanese, 1989. Jihad Maroon Saade, Lebanese, 1976. Jihad Omar, Lebanese, 1958. Jo Elias Akiki, Lebanese, 1997. Jo Eli Boussab, Lebanese, 1992. Jo Francis Haddad, Lebanese, 1984. Jo George Amdoun, Lebanese, 1984. Jo Noon, Lebanese, 1993. Jilbib Sajid Ali, Pakistani, 2006. Joseph Latif Mer'i, Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Joseph Tanya Zhoukos, Lebanese, 1975. Josephine Bouzed, Lebanese, 1949. Joud Haj Steif, Syrian, 2007. Kaisa Fuad Abu Merhij, Lebanese, 1984. Kamal Kafa, Lebanese, 1980. Qasim Yusuf Al-Mawli, Lebanese, 1994. Kazim Shamsuddin, Lebanese, 1953. Khaldiye Saeed Bikri, Syrian, 1978. Khalid Wahoud, Syrian, 1987. Khalil Adib Aoun Muja'as, Lebanese, 1949. Khalil Isa, Lebanese, 1966. Latifa Haj Steif, Syrian, 1996. Lorette Awaida Risha, Lebanese, 1933. Leila Mitri Al-Khouri, Lebanese, 1938. Leila Najjar Al-Khazin, Lebanese, 1945. Lina Bouhamdan, Lebanese, 1964. Liza Kavoujian Gozuboyukyan, Lebanese Armenian, 1974. Mehdi Hassan Roni, Bangladeshi, 1988. Mahmoud Ali Saeed, Lebanese, 1998. Mahmoud Hussein Khalid, Lebanese, 1966. Majida Saadat Kassab, Lebanese, 1968. Malak Muhammad Bazaza Ayoub, Lebanese, 1990. Margot Tabbal, Lebanese, 1926. Maria Pia Emmanuel Abu Sulaiman, Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Marie Saad, Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Marie Farhat, Lebanese, 1941. Marie To, Lebanese, 1975. Marion Gaston Haouchar, Lebanese, 1953. Mazen Rajaz Wahid, Lebanese, 1988. Miral Germanos, Lebanese, 1993. Mithal Hawa, Lebanese, 1992. Mizan Jahangyan Kha, Bangladeshi, 1995. Muhammad Ahmad Abbas, Lebanese, 1981. Muhammad Ahmad Alauddin, Lebanese, 1994. Muhammad Ahmad Ayrut, Syrian, 1981. Muhammad Ali Abbas, Lebanese, 1974. Muhammad Hussein Sibai, Lebanese, 1991. Muhammad Hussein Durim, Palestinian, 1970. Muhammad Isa Al-Mahmoud, Syrian, 1989. Muhammad Jamal, Bangladeshi, date of birth unknown. Muhammad Noor Duran, Lebanese, 1974. Muhammad Les, Lebanese, 1978. Muhammad Yasser Slaibi, Lebanese, 2003. Muhammad Al-Hussein, Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Muhammad Alauddin Damaj, Lebanese, 1997. Muhammad Ayrut, Syrian, 1990. Mustafa Sa'aduddin Blake, Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Naamat Allah Antoine Khayber, Lebanese, 1967. Najib Hatti, Lebanese, 1993. Nawal Atiyeh, Lebanese, 1953. Nawal Hamd Al-Azm, Syrian, 1989. Nazar Najarian, Lebanese Armenian, 1957. Nuola Yusuf Shadid, Lebanese, 1956. Nicole Majid Al-Halo, Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Paulat Iskandar Hashim, Lebanese, 1957. Perlita Mendoza, Filipina, 1982. Ralph Malahi, Lebanese, 1997. Rami Hassan al-Kaki, Lebanese, 1984. Rawan Misto, Syrian, 1999. Rizal Munir Sikder, Bangladeshi, 1982. Rubai Yusuf Sam'an, Lebanese, 1965. Rushdi Jamal, Egyptian, 1995. Sabah Mirhij Nassour, Lebanese, 1936. Sahar Faris, Lebanese, 1993. Samir Boulos Karam, Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Sarkis Tekerian, Lebanese Armenian, 1929. El Ert Sofi Khosrovian, Iranian Armenian, 1942. Tanyos Mkhayyel Al-Mur, Lebanese, 1948. Saroud Muhammad Htet, Lebanese, 1973. Thérèse Merhi Antoun, Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Varujan Boros Toussounian, Lebanese Armenian, 1934. William Nabil Azar, Lebanese, 1988. Wissam Khalil Faisal, Lebanese, 1974. Yaqub Al-Jmayil, Lebanese, 1973. Yusuf Saleh Al-Houd, Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Yvette George Mini, Lebanese, 1953. Ivan Sursok Cochrane, Lebanese, 1922. Zaina Sham'oun, Lebanese, 1963. Zaina Ramzi Raji Zarour, Lebanese, 1980. Ziad Mustafa Sabah, Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Zainab Mgharb Al-Abbas, Lebanese, 1933. Wahib Abiad, nationality unknown, date of birth 1940. Muhammad Abed Al-Hassan, Syrian, 1990. Zahwa Nu'ul Al-Dada, nationality unknown, date of birth 1965. Zed Maita, Lebanese, 1934. Khodo Shafiq Badr, nationality unknown, date of birth 1950. Qusay Fadi Ramadan, nationality unknown, 2020. Antoine Flouti, Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Antoine Najabasil, Lebanese, 1933. Antoine Zarour, Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Eli Nuhad Naufal, Lebanese, 1967. Insaf Attar, Lebanese, 1920. Tanius Antoun, Lebanese, 1967. Thérèse Khouri, nationality unknown, date of birth unknown. Minerva Shartouni, Lebanese, 1951. Salma Al-Hattouni, nationality unknown, date of birth unknown. Jamal Doud Mia, Bangladeshi, 1993. Rashid Hafizur, Bangladeshi, 1982. Amir Hussein, Syrian, 1995. Nabil Sulaiman, Lebanese, 1929. Jean Saïd Kaubali, Lebanese, 1945. Jean Saïd Name, unknown. Farida Khoui Russon, Lebanese, 1948. Bisan Tibati, Syrian, 2013. Muhammad Muhaddin Ladri, Lebanese, 1963. Isa Khudr, Syrian, date of birth unknown. Nadia Bashir, Lebanese, 1935. Hadi Assaf, Lebanese, 1999. Hadi Sukkar, Lebanese, 1944. Shawi Marib, Lebanese, 1944. Nahid Diana Papazian, Lebanese Armenian, 1925. Dima Abdel Samad, Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Azam Yahya Al-Hamwi, Syrian, 1964. Doli Qasim Khouri, Lebanese, 1925. Abdel Muhib Makhlaf Al-Aziz, Syrian, 1997. Marine Elias, Syrian, 1930. Najad Asad Al-Hibr Zaidan, Lebanese, 1937. Ramil Masoud Mia, Bangladeshi, 1991. Unknown female, Bangladeshi. Unknown female, Bangladeshi. Unknown female, Bangladeshi. Kia, missing, possibly Indian. Date of birth unknown. Basra Ako, missing, unknown nationality, unknown date of birth. Fadwa Dumit Saadu, Syrian, date of birth unknown. Etetu Deshasa Tulu, Ethiopian, date of birth unknown. Anahid Berberian, Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Joël Frali, Lebanese, date of birth unknown. Ahmed Hamesh, Syrian, date of birth unknown. Muhammad Al-Abed Al-Isa Al-Salibi, Syrian, date of birth unknown. Abdul Karim Hanshul, Syrian, 2002. Ahmad Haddad, Syrian, 1978. Ahmad Khalaf, Syrian, 1982. Ahmad Khalid Al-Mahmoud, Syrian, 2010. Ahmad Mahmoud Mehdi, Syrian, 1978. Ahmad Sarras, Syrian, 1962. Ali Harji, Syrian, 1978. Ali Sobhi Khalaf, Syrian, 1996. Imam Mahmoud Hameen, Syrian, 2001. Arif Yasser Bek, Syrian, 1995. Ayman Ibrahim Yusuf, Syrian, 1992. Shakira Ali, Syrian, 1993. Dol Mahmoud, Syrian, 1990. Fadila Sawas, Syrian, 1981. Fawaz Hamad Jassim, Syrian, 1982. Riyath Abdul Mu'min Rizq, Syrian, 1990. Rida Haritha, Syrian, 1990. Hala Ibrahim Abdul Rahman, Syrian, 2013. Hamam Mahmoud Al Muhammad, Syrian, 2012.